Hey, thank you, everybody. First of all, thank you so much, and happy Thursday. For those of you, if we've never connected before, I've got 45 minutes to share, and I'm thinking about the 12 people I have here in Dallas. So 12 of my clients flew in for a 1 or 2 day mastermind. And this is the third one I've done in the last few weeks. For context, the average person, in that room will sell this year about 175 homes, up from call it 130 last year. So pretty successful, average probably length of time in the business. I think it was probably 15 years though. Amy and Jared that are over in Idaho, they're 5 years in the business and killing it. And what I thought I'd do today differently from like just another speech is I would share with you the same exact thing I'm doing with these men and women as they are trying to solve the issues of their business, just like many of you are. Now, I know, you're here and it's like a convention and it's fun and it's virtual, but I also acknowledge it's on Zoom. It's a distraction. Maybe you're at your house, maybe you're at the office. I don't know, but I'd love for you just for the next 45 minutes to maybe disregard anything you think about speakers and coaches and trainers. And just imagine if you and I were just pals and you came to me and you said, look, you've helped a lot of people 2X, 3X, 4X their business, retire from real estate. You've helped people, you're all over, your clients are all over the top 1,000 list with real trends and more. Like, what is it that they're doing potentially that I'm not? And I don't want to share anything motivational. I'm not going to share any fluff. I'm going to give you like brilliant, basic, tactical stuff that men and women are doing every single day, not just, in Denver, but around the world. Clients in Sydney, Australia, in New York City, that's finally back and up to speed. So heads up, I'm going to send all my slides to Nobu. So you're going to get a copy of all of this stuff. So listen and take notes on things that are meaningful to you. But when I give you specific marketing strategies and tactics and like, oh my goodness, I want that text because it's going to get me listing appointments this week, don't worry about taking the detailed notes. Instead, we'll get you a copy of everything. That's my aim. So if we're not connected in some way on social, I'd love to connect with you. Facebook, Clubhouse, Instagram is probably where I spend most of my time. So, whatever's the most popular channel for you, just at Tom Ferry, connect with me there, DM me. I am the one that responds, right? Especially if you're on Instagram, like I'm answering a lot of questions for people all the time. But with all that said, without being motivational, this is the question I'm asking a lot of people, recognizing, 14 months ago, jumping into, one of the more challenging real estate experiences, life experiences many of us have ever had. And yet when I talk to so many clients around the world, whether they started in May or in June or even in July, or my clients in New York City and Hoboken, New Jersey, that the real estate market didn't kick in until like November, many of them still had one of their absolute best years ever. And when I survey clients today, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands of clients, so when you push something out and say, hey, give me a thumbs up or a thumb sideways or a thumbs down, what's your expectation for 2021? In the beginning, like everyone's going to do this because it's like this motivational, like, yeah, like let's go. And now here we are at the end of the first quarter. And I'm asking people like, okay, how was the first quarter compared to your plan? And, I see a lot of you out there and we don't have the chat open, but just for you, like, how are you doing? You against you, the only competitor that actually matters. You against you. How are you doing so far? And the reason why I ask is I would argue, just like all the men and women I have, sitting across the way here, they're all looking at the same two questions. And it's the same two questions I want to explore with you so we penetrate what matters most. So we get into what matters most. So here's the two questions. Keep it really simple. Question number one, what are your top 3 goals for this year? And I don't mean goals like motivational. I mean, like, what are you committed to? What are you operationalizing your life and your business around to achieve? Right? When I ask people what are their goals, I get everything from GCI volume. I very rarely get the things that actually matter. Here's my profitability goal. I want to hear things like, this is my goal for the number of listing appointments I'm going to go on this year as an example, right? How many listings sold I want, percentage of profitability. Like, what are you committed to? Like, what are you working on? What are you working every day in this crazy business for? That's the first question. And then you ask yourself this question, what are the constraints of my growth? Like, what is holding me back from, man, if I could just uncork this, if I can untap this, if I can tap into that, if I can solve for this, that's going to open up so much more opportunity. And I will share with you as we progress through this, many of the things that I'm working on with some of the best agents on the planet to defend their position against what I believe is the future of real estate. 50% of every transaction arbitraged where a referral fee is being paid out. How are you defending your position, your brand, your marketplace? What are you doing? Like, this is the stuff that I like to talk about with people, the big problems. Now, I know many of you, obviously, one of the big problems you're facing is right here. You just have way too many listings and you don't know what to do with them all. I'm kidding. This is the problem right now, right? Yes, you could certainly make the argument for it, but I only have 45 minutes. How do I get my offers accepted? That's a totally different presentation. But Nobu, as you're watching, I have some additional slides that I'm not going to get to that it is going to be included our famous ladder up strategy on pricing, 5 different contingencies you can remove, and so much more. But let's focus on the real issue. If you had a steady supply of listings coming in, if your marketing and your day and everything about your business was set up for listing attraction, you would have less problems in this marketplace because a listing gets you 1 or 2 more listings, forget the sale, right? If that was in place, you'd achieve your goals faster, you'd make more money, you'd do infinitely more business, and you'd have a lot of satisfied, happy clients. So I want to focus on that issue. That's what we're going to do in our short time today. So it starts with this first. So let's say you say, okay, Tom, like we've never really worked together before, or maybe you're a longtime friend and client and you're like, okay, this is like a good reminder of like Tom Ferry, like let's get that power of focus going. I would ask you first and foremost, do you have a goal for the next 9 months of how many listings, April through the end of the year, how many listings you want to take? If the goal is measurable, if it's specific, if it's up on a wall, if I can track it, if we're talking about it, if we're operationalizing around it, you're going to hit that number. But you know what I find? I don't know if you know this, but there's a trifurcation that's happened in the real estate business. We're over 1.5 million active agents, quote unquote, in the business. And the numbers, when I look at like the data analyst side of real estate, still show that as of around middle of March, 40% of every agent in the US had not closed a transaction. Think about that. So yeah, we've got more agents than we have active listings nationally, which is strange and a scary thought, but 40% of them haven't done a deal. Then we have the bifurcation, right? It's the men and women like you that you're selling houses, but you fall into 1 of 2 categories, stuck or scaling. Stuck, at a time, not enough resources, not enough marketing, not enough consistency, need more help. You with me on this? Don't have enough listings, too many buyers, writing too many offers. You're out of time. You're selling houses, but you're stuck, versus the scaling group that is getting all of their concentration and focus around the one thing that matters more than anything else. And it's right here. How many listings am I going to take between now and the end of the year to achieve my goals? So I want to help you do that if you're up for the journey. So here's the first thing I wrote down. I think about Andy Dane Carter. So many of you that are on Instagram might know that name. Pretty popular guy on Instagram and Facebook and everything else. He's out of Long Beach, California. He recently, as a $42 million a year producer last year, joined another team. A $42 million producer joined a team. My personal client, Tim Smith, out of Newport Beach, California, did $704 million in sales last year. 704 million. Yes, he has a team, in case you're wondering. The team of 18 did about 100 million. He did the balance. Like, he is a beast. Been my personal client for 13 years. When you ask both Andy or Tim, as I did yesterday on our podcast, I asked him, like, what's the difference that made the difference? Like, what was that one adjustment that you made up here that then you operationalize your day and your plan and your marketing efforts around? And they both basically said this quote: I made the decision to be an appointment setting machine, someone that delivers a lot of value, right? Whether they do something with me now or 10 years from now, I'm going to love on them. I'm going to give them my best. I'm going to answer all their questions. I'm going to help them because ultimately what I want to do is I want to build and maintain trust. I want to build and maintain trust. Think about that statement, my friends, but it starts with that leading indicator of I'm going to be an appointment setting machine. Now, you know what's fun? Andy, who did $42 million in sales last year, went on 7 listing appointments per my podcast yesterday. 7 listing appointments, the balance was all buy side. And he said, I got all 7 listings. I mean, I got them all. I said, so you joined Tim about, now 4 months ago. What have you done so far this year? He's like, I have been on 28 listing appointments. And we're talking about April 7th, right? Yesterday. He's been on 28 appointments. I said, what was the difference? He said, Tim just reminded me that whoever controls the inventory doesn't have the problems as the people that are solely working on the buy side. Now, both of them have people in place and they both will take out buyers. Tim sold a $62 million house last year to the CEO of Loan Depot. Like, that was a buy side transaction and a great one, but they understand. They want to be on the listing side. That's how you solve the problem, you and me in your market. So it's a decision, deciding to be an appointment setting machine, because then it's pretty basic. Everything I'm going to talk to you about better sound basic. That's the plan, because you don't want crazy stuff in 2021, not in this kind of market. You want the brilliant basics. So you create a simple plan, which looks like something as simple as, look how you've designed your day currently. Like, how is your day designed? Wake up, check your cell phone, look at social, have FOMO, have a cup of coffee, skip the gym, I don't know, watch the news, get depressed, kick the cat, go to the office or not. And then what do you do when you get to the office or not? You get to your home office, you open up, you look at your email. You guys know what I'm talking about. This isn't a day designed to attract listings. So I'm not asking you to make radical adjustments. I'm asking you to take a look at these 4 things and say, what if I just added in a few more of these brilliant basics? The things that every great agent does intuitively. They do something to get themselves fired up in the morning, right? Because we're surrounded by energy sucking vampires. And what we do all day long is we are bucket fillers. We're filling people up with, here's what's going on in the market. Here's what you need to do. And yes, this is how you write an offer. And hey, let's sign a buyer brokerage agreement. And hey, I want to take your listing. And you're doing this all day long. So if you're not filling yourself up, you're going to be running on empty. You know it and I know it. Everything else, your business morning routine, like knowing your local market, studying what's happening from a transaction standpoint, understanding the correlations of pricing, right? Like being that true market expert. You can't do that without looking at the hot sheets twice a day, looking for the correlations, looking at the stock market, looking at gold, looking at oil, looking at home prices, finding the connections, and being the only person in the marketplace that actually talks intelligently when asked the question, how's the market? You know what I'm saying? And then of course, a quick role play, because the last thing you want to do is warm up on a hot lead. The last thing you want to do is ever do that, or warm up on a past client. Like, that's just dumb, right? And then of course, what are you going to do? You're going to make your calls. You're going to do your lead nurturing. You're going to book your appointments. Like, that's what the best people do, period, end of story. The ones that are focused on controlling the inventory. Alternatively, maybe a schedule is bad for you. So years ago, matter of fact, the year that Steve Murray Real Trends published the original top 100 agents in the country, long before it became the 1,000 and America's Best, 16 of my clients were on that list. 16 of my personal clients. It's still to this day, like, I'm blown away by these men and women and their success. We started doing, a decade and a half ago. Hey, if schedule's hard for you, do a daily checklist, but pack it full of stuff that moves the needle in your business. Now, remember, you're going to get a copy of all the slides, right? You're going to get everything here. So, you're taking notes. That's great. But I'd rather you take notes on the things in your head, not necessarily what's here, because you'll have a copy of all of this. So, we all know, like, before you go on vacation, you create a checklist, right? Is everybody else excited about vacations coming soon, right? Yeah, baby, right? So as we get back to normal and you start traveling again, what do? You don't wake up the morning of and say, what do I need to pack? No, you got your checklist, you got your business checklist, and you follow the checklist and everything gets done, right? Same rule applies. So the first thing is, I'm going to decide to be an appointment setting machine. I'm going to decide to deliver a lot of value to everyone I meet, no matter what, right now or in the future. I'm going to leave that memorable mark. And I'm going to continue to build and maintain trust with people by going on more appointments, helping more people. Research phase and ready phase doesn't make a difference. I'm going to organize my day around it. And then the big one, I'm going to track and measure my results. So I look back over my career, and again, I'm 50. I'll be 51 in August. And I've been doing this for a long time, like basically more than, 30 years of my adult life. If you think about the things that I know absolutely work every time, it's when you write the number down and everybody can see it. If you study business as I do, it's Pearson's law, right? Pearson wrote, when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured, performance improves every time, right? Like, if you want to lose weight every day, you get on the scale every single day. But in the modern world, you take a photo of it and you post it on Facebook and everybody goes, yay, or ooh, or rough weekend, right? And that that accountability, that psychology kicks in, and that's why you win. So maybe when you leave this today, you take and you put this up on your wall. Hey, I'm committed to going on 75 listing appointments between now and the end of the year, 125, 18, whatever your number is. But I look at like clients like Jason Ferris, Fresno, California. He actually has a company called Frez Yes, which I thought was awesome. He puts this up, and guess what, my friends? All of a sudden, people are walking by him and saying, hey, how you doing with your goals? How's the Tom Ferry thing working out for you? Well, he finishes the year. He didn't hit his listing goal, right? He didn't get on the right number of appointments, but he had like a 2x growth and his best year ever. I encourage you to do the same. Get it up, get it visual, allow the psychology of others seeing it to actually cause you to do more of the things you know you need to do. The other one is this. By the way, this is Tim Smith, Newport Beach, California, Coldwell Banker. And Timmy, longtime client. Timmy now has been on, you see, 82. That was as of yet. Now, last year he went on 227. He's got a goal of 300. Now you say, how in the world does someone go on that many appointments? They decide to be an appointment setting machine. They operationalize their day and their schedule around listing attraction, not around the nonsense, not around the noise. They focus on what it is that they want, and it doesn't happen overnight. He didn't go 0 to 300. The first year I worked with him, we went from 18 to 52 transactions because we refocused him. I didn't change his marketing. I didn't change any language. I just got him to focus on what matters most and try and remove the distraction. The same thing applies for you. He actually posts this on his Instagram page. So all of his friends are like, what is that? What is that X of 300? 17 to 300. What is that? He's like, oh, I have a goal this year to meet with 300 people that are thinking about selling their home, right? So I can help them as a top agent here in town, navigate the challenging decisions and ultimately move forward if they want to. And that's what I'm committed to. Like, hey, by the way, who do you know is thinking about selling? And yes, he asks that to every person he meets. Pretty interesting. So let's talk about listing attraction, brilliant basics. Again, no fluff. Just here's what's working right now. So would it shock you to hear that if all of you did this right now, by the way, if you grabbed your phone and you went to your contacts, right? You went to your contacts and you go down to the very bottom where there's like the pound sign and the Z. And in my case, I see I've got 5,466 contacts. So 5,466 contacts. What do we know? The average person in the US moves every 10 years. So if that rule still applies, and we know the numbers from last year are certainly going to accelerate that with COVID-19, the pandemic, and everything else we dealt with, right? If you just stay with even go to 12 years, you're still looking at, for me, call it 500 people right now that are thinking about selling their home. Think about it. In your database, what's that 10% number? So let's talk about how we can first do the brilliant basics to get them in the fold. So I say, work your database, and here's your goal. You ready? I want to find the research phase sellers, 6 months out, 9 months out, 12 months out, 2 years out. I want to find the research phase sellers before they go online and fall into someone else's drip campaign, fall into someone else, Zillow, Realtor, you name it. I don't care. Anybody else, they're my customers. They're my database. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Here's the first campaign. You ready? What if I told you the single greatest campaign right now is taking your entire database and over time, every day, every week, texting a certain number of people in your database, probably starting at Z. I'm going to give you the exact text. It's a no-brainer, like no brain required, super easy. Every one of you that does this will get listing appointments in the next 4 weeks just from this campaign. You see the data. So on average, with thousands of people doing this, on average, 181 people text over a 4-week period. Figure out the math, right? They're not doing 181 on Tuesday because look at the response rate. 144 responses. 144 people out of the 181 responded. 44 people raised their hand to the offer. 44 out of 140. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm interested. 38 CMAs created. You might figure out what the offer is. 12 research phase sellers to nurture over the next 1 to 2 years. 12 out of 144, slightly less than 10%, but still bonkers. 3 listings taken. Oh, now we're at 15, over 10% of the 144. 15, over 10% of the 144 from a text message to your database. You with me on this? And then obviously you see 4 clients pre-approved for their lender for a refi and 2 clients wanted to buy an investment property. Not a bad little campaign. Here's the text. You ready? Simple. Hey, Nobu, Tom Ferry checking in. Right now, obviously, if you don't know the person, this is going to be weird. So you're texting the people that you have some connection with. It could be a lead you met 3 years ago at an open house. It doesn't make a difference. You ready? Hey, name, hope you're doing well. Crazy times. Real estate market is bananas. And you literally you put the bananas in for a reason, because the banana emojis, it's the first thing you see when you open up that text. It's the first thing you see when you saw the slide. And what's the offer? I'm curious, would you like to know the real value of your home? And I would add today, versus Zillow. Would you like to know the real value of your home versus Zillow? And from this, you can see 44 people raised their hand, 38 people CMAs created, 12 research phase sellers over the next 1 to 2 years, which I love because I want you to get them before they go online. I want you to be their face, you to be the mayor of the business, you to be the mayor of the town, the one that they're going to go to, the person. So that's the first campaign. The second campaign is super easy. It's direct mail. It's a CMA, beautifully created, mailed to every single person you sold a house to from 2010 to say 2018. And my goodness, if you know the average increase in home values during that period, writing a note and saying, Nancy, congratulations. Don't you wish you would have bought 2, right? It's doing this and then following up with a phone call. It's doing this and following up with the text. Hey, did you see, the value of your home? I just wanted to say congratulations. And then there's a secret question I'm going to give you in a minute. The question. You will never have to ask for a referral. You will never have to ask them, have they had any thoughts of selling, right? One question that just opens them up, and the conversation is magical and it's like almost effortless. And I'm going to give it to you in a sec, but let's keep going. So you might want to do that. One of the big things that a lot of you are missing. Now, listen to me very carefully. With the privacy rules changing of Facebook, Instagram, and Google because of Apple and everybody else, we're basically becoming Canada when it comes to marketing, right? So you're not going to be able to market the same way. So the value of your email database has never been greater. And just wait, in 18 months, it's going to be the difference that makes the difference. So sending a weekly email, matter of fact, I'll give you just an example. This is from the National Marketing Association of America. They're saying just in nurturing, spend $1, make 44. Spend $1, make 44. It is the single greatest ROI. And yet, if I opened it up to Q&A or asked in the chat, like how many of you, the vast majority of people do email now and then, totally inconsistent, not really connecting and resonating with their base, and they're losing. I want you to win. Here's a little thought from Boomtown. My guys are at Boomtown in South Carolina. We actually did a little survey amongst all of their base to figure out sales volume and the correlation to how many emails they have in their database. Look at the math. Size matters, people, right? People with 100,000 email addresses, yes, teams with 100,000 people in their database, on average doing $220 million in volume. And this group, their average sales price is like 300, right? They're not selling $3 million houses, right? They're selling $300,000 houses below the median right now in the US. But email is so important and most people are missing it. Let's keep jamming. You ready? Some form of direct mail every single month. I think you're figuring it out. It's a non-myopic approach to staying connected to your database. Text, sending them CMAs, email marketing, sending direct mail. And by the way, those 3 pieces replicated differently for each quarter, right? So January and April are the same piece, modified for the theme of the time, right? Top 10 things to do January through, March, right? Top 10 things to do April through July, right? You get the concept? We need to be everywhere. And if one of you is sitting back and saying, okay, but this is a lot. Listen to me. There is a lot of companies, very sophisticated companies, spending a lot of money going after your database, trying to get them to go to their website so they can sell that lead or take a referral fee from someone else. I said to you earlier, I'm arguing that I can foresee in the reasonable 3 to 5 year range that 50% of every transaction in the US will have a referral fee attached to it in some way, shape, or form. Relocation, arbitrage companies, agent-to-agent referrals, and more. Think about it. What are you doing to defend your position with your database? So obviously the next one is staying top of mind. And you've all been told to do content until you're blue in the face. Listen, I started my YouTube channel in 2007. I put out 5 original pieces of content on video every single week. If you're doing that, you get a lot of I trust you calls. If you're not getting a lot of, you would call it a come list me call. If you're not getting a lot of I trust you calls, it's because you're not top of mind on their second brain, which is right here. If you're not here, if you're not running YouTube pre-roll video ads right now before they watch LeBron James do a dunk, right, as an example, or their favorite motivational speech before, and there you are saying, hey, Tom Ferry, Banana Real Estate, want to give you a quick Denver market update. Here on the West Side, in the last week, we had and you just educate them, and it's a 15 to 30 second commercial before the video begins. It's killing right now, my friends. Pay attention. All right, here's the one you've been waiting for. Yes. All that stuff is meaningful and all of that stuff works. But if you don't make your phone calls, you don't go deep enough to win enough. You don't go deep enough to win enough because all the things in the world, all these things are great, but the relationship happens when you FaceTime them. The relationship happens when you text them and say, got a minute? The relationship happens when you call them and say, I'm thinking about you. I'm just checking in. And oh, by the way, I promised you the secret question. You want the secret question? Here it is. This is the question that is opening doors for clients every single day around the world. My client who just got named #1 Remax team in all of Italy and Sardinia, right? He's like, Tom, that's the question. How has COVID in the last year of the pandemic changed the way you feel about your home? Like, you don't just come out with that. You're like, hey, David Eckler, how's it going? What's going on? Hey, Nobu, what's happening? You know, man, just little Ford, little family, occupation. What are you guys doing for fun? Right? Like all that kind of stuff. And then you say, you know, I have like 200 really special like friends and clients that I've been blessed to work with the last couple of years. Of course, you know, you're one of them and you're always in my top. I want to ask you the same question I've asked everybody because I'm super curious about your feedback. Think about this, Tom. How is COVID, the last year of the lockdowns and the pandemic, like how has it changed the way you feel about your home? And then you just shut up. And they're like, here's what I want you guys to get. Look over here very carefully. Right now in your database, there are hundreds of people that are sitting at their dining room table, AKA their office. Their spouse is working in the master bedroom closet. You with me on this? Their 2-year-old, 4-year-old, and 7-year-old are running by at 5:30. They just get off the phone with their boss who just told them, hey, we're going to be remote for the next 18 months to 2 years because it's really efficient and you've done a great job. Keep up the great work, but we're going to be remote. And in that moment, they close their laptop and their spouse is like, how was your day? And they're like, we need to move. We need a bigger house, a backyard. I want a pool. I want this. And in that moment, my friends, they're not calling you. Sorry. You know it and I know it. Because if you're not making the phone call, going the extra mile, yeah, you're going to get some referrals and yeah, you're going to get some calls like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. But if 10% of your database is thinking about it right now, if you're not making the call, they're going to Zillow. They're going to Redfin. They're going to Realtor.com. Don't hate me. Make the phone calls. Call your database. Here's some additional power questions or just things that'll give you more confidence. Home price appreciation in the last 2 years, letting people know that. Inventory is off by X amount of normal levels and explain what that means, how it impacts buyer demand, how it impacts multiple offers, how it impacts the challenge that sellers have is not selling for top dollar, but it's selling for top dollar and being potentially displaced because most agents don't have a plan in place to help them through the transition, right? Most agents don't say, before we put the home on the market, let's go identify where you want to live. I will go market to properties that are off market, that are not for sale, find you a home, and then we'll put your home on the market. Make that your offer and watch what happens. But you can see, all of this is just designed to give you more confidence to do what you know you need to do, the thing you know you need to do that you're always saying you have no time for, that's actually costing you a lot of business and a lot of money. So I got to give you one more and then I'll wrap with a few more little simple, brilliant basics for you. But the thing that is really working right now is leveraging your qualified buyers to attract more listings. And the first thing is making sure, like, have you taken your database? So this is not going to be in my notes. So you want to write this down. Have you taken your database and uploaded into Google Maps as an example to actually see where all the people live in your database, right? So when a buyer says, hey, I really want to live in Hoobie-Dooville, or at this community near that school, you can then look at the map and say, I know 18 people inside there. I know 18 people that I can go to, that I can call and say, hey, I'm representing a family that desperately want to live in your area. They're willing to pretty much do whatever it takes to buy your house. Have you guys had any thoughts of selling, or at what price would you become a seller? And you're actually target marketing. You're leveraging your qualified buyer to really target first the people that you know, before you go back to 3-year-old expireds, 3-year-old for sale by owners, calling the listing agent who had it 3 years ago and saying, hey, Martha, what's going on? I got a buyer. They're really interested. I know you had this listing a few years ago. How's your relationship? What do you think? Can we put something together? Can we show the property? Like, it's those agents that are winning. So think about it, right? So the easiest thing on the planet is the Yikes campaign. Right? For my veteran friends, we used to call it the magic buyer letter, but Yikes became the phenomenon really in 2010, the first time we really got into the inventory shortage in a more normalized market. And that's where you're writing the obviously it has to be the consumer friendly, like you can't break any of the rules. You can't say they desperately want to live in this school and they're a family like this. Can't do any of that stuff. You just say, hey, look, I'm representing a buyer. You have a magnificent kitchen. They really want a magnificent kitchen. Like something like that, right? That is compliant, follow the rules, don't get yourself in trouble, pay attention. But it all comes down to this. It's putting inside there your Zillow reviews. It's putting inside a nondescript, non-branded envelope, hand addressed, hand stamped, so you know it's going to get open, so you know it's real. And you know what's funny? So I live in Dallas, and I'm sitting with a couple of friends the other night, and I asked them, how many people call you and say, have you had any thoughts of selling, or I've got a buyer for your home? And every one of them said, oh yeah, it's happening. Like, this is like a brilliant basic now. So remember, I started this by saying, I want you to get more listings. I want you to first work your database. Then I want to turn your buyers into listing opportunities, because all of this, my friends, all of this is just, it's all the stuff that we know works. And the question is, what is the constraint of growth? What's getting in your way? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to let go of, so you're only doing what really works to attract more listings? By the way, here's the question you get all the time. Every one of your friends, anywhere you go, mask on, gloves on, name badge on. And they're like, hey, you're at Banana Real Estate. How's the market? What's going on? The thing I want people to get, because we've been surveying people all over the world forever on this one, is getting people to realize, I don't care if you're in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, I don't care if you're in, I don't know, I was in Canada all of a sudden, New Brunswick, how about that one? Or you're somewhere in Israel, or you're in Germany, or you're in France. Everywhere, people want to know what's going on in the real estate market, right? Everybody wants to know. In the US, it's 17% of the GDP of the country. It really matters. But most people whiff the answer. Hey, how's the market? Oh my God, I'm so busy. Oh my God, there's no homes for sale. Oh my God, I've had the craziest time. Oh my God, right? That doesn't help the consumer. I think there's really two things to look at in terms of how you answer this question. I'll give you just the most relevant one today. Tell them the truth. The market's really challenging. Like, if someone says to me, how's the market? I'd be like, whew, this market is really challenging. I mean, we simply don't have enough great homes to sell for the buyer demand in the marketplace. It's like I'm back in high school. It's like, it's supply and demand. It's Econ 101. Like, if we get a home on the market, there's 7 or 8 offers. And the problem is there's more buyers than there are people willing to sell their home. But like, that's kind of the market. I'm curious, like, what are you interested in? Like, what do you really want to know? And then they're like, well, I'm actually like, my mother-in-law is thinking about moving in with us, or, hey, you know, like my uncle's in Florida and he was asking me, he wants to move here and needs to sell his house there. And you're like, listing referral and buy side, right? Your brain, I know how it works, but how, if you say, oh, the market's so crazy, or it's rough, or man, I'd hate to be a buyer right now, you're not helping them. The other way to answer it, and this isn't in the script, but it's probably my most famous, which is they say, how's the market? And you're like, it really depends. Are you going to buy, sell, invest, or rent? Because each one of those markets are totally different. Plus, where in town did you want to do it? So give me more optics. What are you thinking about? And they're like, well, we're kind of thinking about buying on the west side. You're like, condo or single family residence. Well, we'd love to be in a house, but we think maybe condo's more. Now I'm in the conversation. See, when someone asks you the question, how's the market? They're prospecting you. And last time I checked, the numbers show that 66% of the people that are buying have to sell a house in order to get one. So the more people that are asking you that question, you've got to be asking yourself, This is a seller, maybe like 18 months out, and they're trying to figure it out. They want to know what they can do. That's an opportunity for you to win. I hope you're taking advantage of it. So before I wrap, I do want to say to you, if we're not connected on social, I highly recommend it for a lot of reasons. A, because you know what? I provide a lot of content, a lot of value for free. And if you like this message, you get this vibe, it's the kind of stuff I'm doing all the time. But more importantly, what I would say to you is this, not in my slide, but I hope you write this down. I mentioned earlier the importance of email marketing. So I'm sitting with these 12 agents, and I'll be back in there in the next, 15, 20 minutes. And before I left, I reminded them that the privacy rules of Facebook and Instagram and Google and all these things are changing. And there's only a few things you can do to really defend your position, to truly defend your position. So I want to go uber tactical. Like if you were my mom and you were in real estate, you're my little sister, Michelle, selling in Vegas. You're my brother, Patrick, selling in San Diego. This is the stuff that, like, when we're on a Zoom family dinner, like, this is the stuff I'm telling them, like, listen to me, guys. Like, if you want to win right now, listen to me, my friend. Build your Google business page today if it's not done. That's number one. You want to defend your position against the Zillows and the Trulias and all these other companies and HomeLight and on and on and on, the discount brokers, on and on and on. To defend your position, number one, you better build your Google business page. Super easy to do. Number two, you got to over-index on Google reviews. I'm talking to these rockstar team leaders. Most of them have 800 reviews on Zillow. And I said to them, look, I've known the guys at Zillow forever. What are you going to do when they remove all the reviews? Or what would you do if they removed all the reviews? They were like, they could do that. I'm like, of course they could do that. They're testing all the time, right? So if they did that to you, what are you going to do if suddenly overnight 75 reviews, or one of my clients, 1,500 reviews are gone? And what I'm telling them is, you need to take that review, you need to copy it, send it in a text or an email with a link to your Google page and say, hey, Phyllis, would you take 5 minutes and rewrite this on my Google page? It would mean the world to me, right? Ethically bribe them, whatever it takes. Because if you don't defend the position with the amount of reviews you have, and this thing changes, something disrupts, you're in trouble. We are in the review-based economy. Look at number 3, right? You got to create content that keeps you top of mind. I don't know if you listen to my podcast, but yesterday's podcast really blew up. Not the one with Tim and Andy, the one that was published yesterday, where I talked about the 15 most important videos you need to shoot, the 10 stats on video marketing and what's working and what's not and why, and then the 3 shows you got to have every week. And I would make the argument for every one of you that if you're going to be in this business for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, with privacy changing, email becoming the primary solution, less Facebook ads, if any, unless they're just to your custom audience. Same thing with Google. As everything shifts and makes it more and more challenging for the small players to really be competitive, you'll win because you're creating content that matters. If you haven't gone to TubeBuddy, TubeBuddy, not going to be anywhere in my slides. If you haven't gone to TubeBuddy, which will basically tell you in your local marketplace, things that people are searching for on Google regarding real estate where there is no video. People are searching the same search terms over and over again where there is no video. That's for all my friends out there. They're like, I'm not sure what content to create. I don't know. How about create the content for things that people are already searching for and be the only agent there, as an example. But again, I did an hour-long podcast on this yesterday. Go to tomferry.com, go to Podbean, go wherever you go. Listen to it on fast pace, take as many notes as you can, because the agents that create the content are going to be the ones that are the most searchable, most findable, the mayors of their marketplace. I'm not saying people that don't, won't do well, but they're going to struggle in the brand, trust, and reputation game. So you heard it here first, or maybe it's the 15th time, maybe it's the final time that you hear it and say, okay, enough is enough. If I don't get into my schedule, it doesn't exist. If I don't get some accountability around this, it's not going to happen. Because that's how you win, my friends. And I say this not to put any fear in your mind. I've been in this industry for 31 years. There is more interesting disruption happening right now than I've ever seen before. There's more happening than I've ever seen before. And if you're not thinking about how you're going to defend your position, there's just a chance that a third of your business could go away like that. A discounter, a disruptor, a disintermediator. And look, you can complain about them. Don't complain, do something about it. Here's the easiest list right here. Here's another basic one if you haven't done, and this is now almost feeling old because it's in April. In December, my buddy from Google called and said, hey, we launched this new service. You should tell your agents about it. And boom, it's just blowing up like wildfires. So you imagine like people are literally saying, best listing agent in city, best listing agent in your town. If your ad doesn't show up, if you haven't done the Google local services ad, you're just missing opportunity. So don't miss the opportunity. Defend your position, work your database first and foremost. And then look, if you need more, we have more. You can go to my YouTube channel. There's an infinite thousands of videos there, all free training, all designed to help you achieve what you want to achieve by typing into the search button what matters most to you. And then, hey, if you need more help, you want to go to the next level, you want to be in relationship with us, call that number. Call and just say, hey, I was on the, show with Denver and, thank you so much, the association, Nobu and everybody. Like, yeah, I think it's time, right? I'm new and I want to accelerate. I'm a veteran. I'm feeling behind. Okay. I've heard this Ferry guy long enough. I'm going to check it out. If we could be of service, we'd love to. We'd love to. Because here's the thing. If you don't change, this is going to be a weird next 18 to 24 months. For many of us, the streets are paved with gold right now. It sounds so cliche though. What got you here won't get you there. So even in this short little 45-minute presentation where we've gone through so many talking points, and again, you're going to get a copy of all the slides. So you have the marketing and the samples and all the little reminders. Just remember this. Ideas are meaningless. It's all about implementation. It's all about you saying enough is enough, carving out the time to GSD, get stuff done. So as I wrap, I just want to say thanks again to the association. I'm always blessed to just, Nobu spoke at one of my conferences a million moons ago, right? So it's good to have good, long-standing relationships. If this is the first time we've worked together, thank you for just plugging in for this 45 minutes. For all my longtime friends out there, how I feel about you. Keep up the great work. And just remember this, my friends, tick tock. It's all about time. So let's get on it. Love you guys, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. I wish you the best.